President Muhammadu Buhari has always been described as a statist, as someone that has an unbending or unflinching conviction about the indissolubility of Nigeria. That much Nigerians have heard from him on several occasions. But there have been persistent questions from a cross-section of Nigerians who say Mr. President has not been matching this often expressed patriotic fervor with action, and that his commitment and approach to ending the current spate of violence across the country leaves much to be desired. Well, joining us now to take on this subject matter head-on is Dr. Okey Ikechukwu, a leadership consultant and Executive Director, Development Specs Academy, Abuja, Nigeria. Dr. Okey Ikechukwu, welcome to the program. Good to have you again. Well, I see you have my favorite cap on this morning. Good morning. You're lucky you're not in the studio.
I think you just have your...
I will have liberated the cap from you.
I think you just have your lap ball going on this morning.
You know, Ruben, during my life, when I was in your studio in Lagos,
Yes.
I was so apprehensive about what would happen to my cap. I made security arrangements before entering the studio, knowing that you were there.
But now you are comfortably in the Abuja studio. But very quickly, we're glad to have you on the
Very safe
program.
from you.
Yeah. Now, I mean, we still have in Nigeria, in the last month or so, people calling for secession. Some promoters of Oduduwa Republic saying that they will have a 1 million march and that they want the Yoruba, the Southwest, to secede from Nigeria. Nnamdi Kanu of the Igbo's IPOP is also saying he will support the Yorubas because secession has become an emerging dominant narrative in Nigeria. But the federal government of Nigeria insists that Nigeria is, according to the Constitution, an indissoluble entity. What's your take on this?
No nation disintegrates because the Constitution provides for disintegration. So that is the first thesis to put on the table. So you can't quote the Constitution and use it as a basis or as proof that a nation cannot disintegrate. No. The question is, what are the contending political, cultural, and economic forces within the state that might lead to a tearing apart instead of a coming together? So we can conveniently not take that quotation seriously as a sufficient deterrent. The last time Nigeria went into a civil war, it wasn't because the Constitution provided for it. It was because there were pressures, unresolved contradictions, feelings of unfair treatment and the rest of it that led to a civil war. So a presidential declaration or a constitutional provision is neither necessary nor sufficient for secession. Are we then to understand that we need to go and probably get presidential clearance in order to have secession? Now let's look at the issues. Even before I get into that, let's bring a few things to the attention of those who are aspiring towards secession. In your earlier observation, you said that we must have a Nigeria. Let's look at it this way. Let us suppose that the Southwest decides to secede from Nigeria. What happens? Probably there will be shooting because it won't be allowed to go freely. What will be the supply lines of the Southwest, both for food and ammunition? What medical facilities are available to deal with the fallout? So one thing people must realize is that in the absence of the possibility of a negotiated secession, like in Czech and Slovak and others, you're going to have a shooting war. It is in the course of that shooting war that internal contests for supremacy will emerge. Look, let's look at the clear scenario. If I'm a senator today and I'm from the Southwest, do you think I will voluntarily and happily want secession? If I'm in the House of Reps, if I'm a serving governor? So within all the areas that are talking secession, there are also contradictory forces. The same thing applies to the Southeast. Yes, IPOB has taken a position, but do we have a consensus? What I believe we have a consensus on is that several sections of the Nigerian polity and on closer examination, zones of the Nigerian polity feel maltreated. And I will limit the expression to maltreated. To that extent, they believe that if they're out of this union, marriage at gunpoint, that they will fare better. But you see, already within all these sections, there are also individuals and small groups who are beneficiaries of the current maltreatment, who are institutions and persons connected with the existing Nigerian state of today, no matter how bad you think it is. They will not endorse secession because their privileges will go. Therefore, there are those internal contradictions. But having put those contradictions on the table, I'll take it further. It is also not enough that I'm a senator or a governor for secession not to take place, because in the end, I'm in office to serve people. And if people feel so bad that they no longer respect either my person or title or the institutions of state, they will overrun the state. So the challenges are real. 3 points on the table. Number one, it doesn't matter what the Constitution says. Secession can take place if it becomes inevitable. Second, the forces in the various regions, southeast, southwest, calling for secession. Secession is something you prepare for. Since it's not going to come voluntarily, you're talking about armed combat. And let's take some of the skirmishes we had. The army went sometime, it was reported, bombed Olu. And some people were very angry about it, justifiably. Why go and bomb Olu when there's a Sambisa forest? Others were celebrating that, look, we've shown them what we can do, but let's create a scenario. Supposing there was actually continuous bombardment for 2 days, let us suppose that the boys in Olu had a massive catch of ammunition. Can they engage in a shooting war for 2 hours? Let's be generous, for 6 hours non-stop and not run out of ammunition and reduction in personnel from casualties? And where are the supply lines to deliver extra arms, ammo? Besides that, where are you going to get the food supply? So the logistics of war is clearly something a lot of people who are talking about secession don't know about. How many? The Civil War was a reality for some people, and for some others, it was a news item. When a plane passes your neighborhood, as it did ours at that time, and you find that all the buildings are leveled, you see a head or a leg lying along the street, and you don't know the owner, and you come look down the street, a man discovers that his house is no longer part of the landscape. Where will he go to? The only thing he's wearing on him is what he's wearing. As I'm speaking now, if a war breaks out, I'm in trouble. I'm inappropriately dressed for war. My shoe is not good for running. I have to get rid of it. This cap, I will throw it away. If Ruben likes, let him take it. I won't mind. But you see, I need to save my life. But having started running, give me another 90 minutes. I'm out of gas. I have no food. I have nowhere to go to. And I run into another bunch who themselves are coming. Probably I look better. There's a piece of bread I'm holding. They will catch me. If I'm not killed, well, they will make sure they beat the daylight out of me and then fight over the bread. So the reality of a secession translates into a total disruption of lives. And the configuration of the Nigerian state today is that there are so many alternative power centers that you won't have a consensus. So you may end up with warlords. I've secured the Shomolu area. My boys are with me. This one has secured the Oka area. No, but how will I, in a secession, in a situation of secession, bow to another authority? I will only... So disruption is what people are asking for. Having said all of that, what's my substantive, conclusive submission? The federal government must create a situation whereby people will not find it attractive to speak of secession. Right now, it is very attractive to speak of secession because the Nigerian state, in my view, and I may be wrong, does not provide security, does not provide, if you like, the sustainability, possibilities of sustaining the life you know. And also, on top of all of this, the federal government at the moment, and that's my view, has massive integrity deficit in terms of the effectiveness and believability of what it tells the people. So taxes are up, there's quarrel over fuel price will come, inflation has gone through the heavens. It is good we should speak of the positives, but we must also speak of the positives in the sense of history. If some years ago I was buying a bag of rice for 15,000, in some cases 12, and today I'm buying it for over 30,000, and you tell me, no, you see, we made a gain, it's come down to 25. I won't quarrel with you that it's come down to 25, but I'll remind you that most of my cousins still can't afford it unless I send it. Now, these are the clear indices to use. Is the Nigerian state creating the kind of environment that will make everybody feel sufficiently comfortable to say, to hell with secession? If the answer is no, then the federal government cannot afford to grandstand. It just must have to go into conversations. So a release saying that is against the Constitution, I'll ask again, What constitutional provisions provided for the events of 1966? What constitution provided for all the coups we've had? So let's not mistake a document on which there's even no consensus for a sufficient deterrent, good governance, responsible leadership, believable communication, and a sense of empathy for the suffering of the people. Those, I think, will be the major deterrents, and not quoting the Constitution or saying the president said Nigeria is indivisible. How did anybody arrive at that conclusion?
Indeed, Dr. Ikechukwu, our Constitution also provides for federal character, and we all know the reality of that. But I wanted to talk to you about the Elders' Council meeting of Ohaneze Indigo that was just concluded, and whether or not critical mass has been achieved for this clamor for a president from the Southeast.
Well, to begin with, yes, the Ohaneze has spoken, but it's also on record that at the moment, the George Obiozor camp, out of 3 camps, appears to enjoy greater credibility among the Igbo elite, particularly the political elite. And it is that group that met and took a position. I have no problem with it. I think that, first of all, Ohaneze should spare us the spectacle of seeing alternative submissions by alleged Ohanezes. So, with the clout and spread and the elite dominance of the Obiozor group, they should call the others and sit down and stop all this noise. This is a family. And you call a meeting in the village square, an elder, a titled man gets up and finishes speaking. Another young boy just jumps up, still speaking in the name of the family. It shows there's a crisis of eldership and leadership and management from there. So I need to put that point on the table that this statement, what if you get a counter statement from another faction? So the factional thing in Ohaneze should end. The Igbo elite has been sufficiently scandalized by this. Let them create a consensus, sit down around a table. What are the issues? Resolve them, but let there be one voice from that zone in the name of Ohaneze. That's number one. Number two, the matter of a meeting, it's a good thing that the position has been taken and the President General has been mandated to use his contacts, of which he has a lot. Now, what I see is that meeting is actually an expression of the subsisting conviction of Southeast political elite that they are yet to be sufficiently drawn into the Nigerian political equation. They are not asking for an Igbo president who will serve Igbo presidents, Igbo interests. They are not asking for an Igbo man who will be president because he's an Igbo man, but somebody who from the Southeast who has capacity to govern and who will serve the best interests of Nigeria. Now, those are things we must get clear. So that it's gone round, let also somebody from area demonstrate capacity and show who can that we can also work to hold our nation together. And I dare say that the possibility of even building greater faith in Nigeria might actually arise from somebody of Igbo extraction. And the reason I give is this. If the place has been thoroughly marginalized for close to 50 years, if at the moment the records show that budgetary allocations to the Southeast have been the lowest for a very long time, including the 20 years of democracy, if we show that there's a scarcity, if not total absence of functioning federal infrastructure in the Southeast, and you make somebody from the Southeast the president, it is unlikely, given the general disposition of the Igbos, if that is taken to be a dominant trend, when you go and set up a shop, you don't quarrel with your neighbor. When you set up a bakery, you don't pour away the water from the factory into the village stream so that they will buy your bread and they will be your friends, they will be your customer. It's unlikely that the kind of extremism you find with the ethnic groups that they feel they can act with impunity is unlikely to come from a Nigerian of Igbo extraction. And look at the tenure of Ekwueme with Obasanjo. He finished the thing, he lost the ticket. They went to him, oh, let's go and he said, protest what? I'm a member of the PDP. My party has chosen a candidate. My business is to work for our party to win the election. So the position of Ohaneze is understandable, but let them not focus on over-politicization. I believe they should even back up the PDP's call for competence. Let us see the competent persons the PDP will bring from every zone of the country. Let me see who will beat some of the PDP members in the what do you call it, from the Southeast. If you've been a lawmaker, we'll see your record. If you've been a governor, we'll see your record. If you had background in business, we see your record. If you have background in public office, we'll see your record. Now, when the criteria are put on the table, and I think the media should set that agenda, let them pursue excellence and see who will come out on crutches. So I think it makes sense to speak of it, but let them not think it's a media matter. You've held a meeting, part of it on Zoom, some people were present, you've given an ultimatum, we must have, no. They are beyond that, and I think Obiozor has far greater maturity than can be associated with the kind of thing you find small boys. You get up and give a federal government an ultimatum. What's the total number of your membership? 213. Where are you speaking from? A small space, you're gathered together. Assuming the ultimatum is not met, what will you do? Nothing. That's not what you're seeing from Ohanaeze, no. These are concerned elders who believe they should speak for the Southeast, but they should create consensus. First, among those claiming to be Ohanaeze presidents, you don't have 3 masquerades with the same name in one village square. Second, let them also make sure it emerges as a lead consensus. What's the position of all the governors standing together? What's the position of all the senators standing together? House of Reps members standing together? House of Assembly members standing together? Then traditional rulers standing together. Not to give ultimatum to fellow Nigerians. Because if you keep saying he must be my brother, don't others have brothers? If you keep saying he must come to us, how can we trust you? You appear desperate. So a certain maturity, indication of the ability to navigate the convoluted Nigerian state of today must be part of this conversation. And that capacity exists in the Southeast. For the record, to end on this particular question, go and check the poverty indices for the whole country. Check. Southeast has the lowest. The state with 13%, go and check 13% poverty rate, go and check what it got from Nigeria in the last 25 years. The state that has 76% poverty rate, 81% poverty rate, go and check their allocation for the same period. So you will then infer an indication of capacity to manage resources, to survive against all odds, and all of that. And these are qualities some people might bring to bear in that office. Of course, that's if they survive the political economy of the Nigerian state.
But Dr. Ikechukwu, at first you said small boys. I mean, well, I'd like to know who those small boys are that are giving ultimatum. And secondly, that you just quoted, I'll give you a counter-argument by saying that that's the entrepreneurial spirit of entrepreneurs from places like Nnewi doing well in Anambra State and some other states in the Southeast. It's not the effective management of resources given to the state government. Take, for instance, I'll take Nnewi as a case study. I'll take Nnewi as a case study. Nnewi's economic viability is incumbent on the likes of Gabros, Inoson, Chikasin, and the likes of these guys that have improved Nnewi so much now that you can buy a plot of land in Nnewi for 50 million naira. So it's the strength of thinking of those entrepreneurs. And that's the argument a lot of people will put forward. What would you say about the argument? And I'd like to know those you're calling small boys with 213 supporters.
Now, on the matter of small boys, I've just received confidential information that a committee has been set up to identify them. So when the committee submits its report, I will tell you. Rufai, are you satisfied? Okay. Now, on the index, it may be a default setting, but look at the qualities. I shouldn't stretch it, but the point is this. How come in that region you have that entrepreneurial spirit thriving? People building from nothing. Poverty rate dropping because of individual effort. And you know that titles are taken seriously. It's not the one they just give you, you're answering it. If you're holding a title, if you're Obuefi, that means you can serve the public by killing cow for them continuously. The other title is based on every title in the Southeast is connected to attainments and achievements. And by the way, Ruben, I have a title, so don't provoke me. As I was saying, the titles are earned. No person.
The best title you have is the PhD.
No, on the contrary. The meaning means that which is bigger than a masquerade, yes.
The Ijele masquerade.
The fact that I've said it, you're owing me a ram. You made me say it myself. Instead of you hailing me, you deliver a ram when we see. So you find that there is a desperate, if you like, aspiration to achieve. I am president. I will negotiate with everybody to ensure that certain specific things are done. So it's not a question of that index. Those indices we are looking at, they are the result of individual effort. But have you also noticed that Innocent, Chikasen, Costa, are they quarreling with each other? No. Each respects the attainment of the other and says, okay, just an example I'll try to emulate. So the fact of an environment of what they call a bambo becomes a compelling index. Of course, at the level of political leadership, you can see a lot of disaster going on. The point is, if the candidate is then chosen based on the core issues of capacity, national interest, if you like, diplomatic capacity, your ability to navigate diverse contexts, cultures, and ethnic groups, and people who feel comfortable with you, if those are the criteria, there are sound candidates. But if the issue is, we want Igbo president, it's our turn, for heaven's sake, why should I endorse that? It shows a temperamental inclination that others will find frightening. But when people then argue, oh, you can see they are quarreling in Ohanaeze, we can't give them president, they can't, that is rubbish. There is never a piece of the graveyard in any ethnic group, in any family, in any neighborhood, in any community. And the issue is, can they carry the quarrel of Ohanaeze to Aso Rock? No. Oh, we gave them the Senate presidency and see what they were doing among themselves. All of that is history. We need to move this nation forward, and honest conversations will be the basis. PDP says it wants meritocracy. Let's put the conventional global standards for meritocracy for 21st century leadership. Whoever emerges, then, so it's now for that narrative to be driven if they're serious. 1999, there was a subterranean agreement that it should go to the Southwest because of June 12. You see, the consensus, Nigerian consensus is usually among the Nigeria's Old Boys Association. They call the class of 66, military and political. Let them also arrive at that kind of consensus. Choose a candidate with global exposure, proof of capacity to perform, evidence of acceptability to others, and not somebody also temperamental who may midstream just go bonkers, then you're talking seriously. But Ohanaeze, yeah, the position makes sense, but you should also keep your house in order so it doesn't fall into disrepute.
Well, okay, earlier on, you used the phrase conversation. And I think that many Nigerians will be interested in, okay, how do we rescue Nigeria? How do we save Nigeria? These days, people say, oh, Nigeria is sitting on a keg of gunpowder. Nigeria is at the edge of the precipice. All these apocalyptic, nihilistic predictions. Now, conversation. What kind of conversation did you have in mind? Will you suggest that the Buhari administration should have another national political conference where all the warlords, the small boys that you talk about, can come under one roof and at least try to figure out how we can move forward? Because it looks like, everybody is operating in a silo. And the idea of Nigeria, that big idea about Nigeria, is the main victim.
No, I don't think the Buhari government should organize any conference, largely because I don't think it has the capacity to do it. It has too many burning bushes in its garden, and it should just attend to the simple matter of service delivery and good governance. We've had this government for 6 years. The indices are not reassuring. To now start a jamboree of conference and everybody will concentrate on it, that's what we'll be hearing about in the news. Meanwhile, marauders and armed bandits are taking over the north. Please, let them not organize any conference for us. Now, for those who are calling for restructuring, many of them are couching it in terms of, look, we need all the Nigerian ethnic nationalities to come together and give us a people's constitution. Now, those who are saying that should wake up. It's already not just 12 noon, but 3 p.m. You cannot call on Nigerians together to form a constitution, to write a constitution. Constitution making is not something for which everyone has the capacity. The American Constitution will be hailing forever, was put together by 200 men chosen. Now we can no longer do that here. The point is, first, the question of all ethnic nationalities meeting. Where? National Stadium. The point is this. The conversation I mean is the conversation of the kind of conspiracy that has characterized the Nigerian state from beginning. A consensus behind the scene, tabled as a perspective, dramatized argument, but is already agreed to in advance. That's how Obasanjo became president. That's how Falaye emerged as the candidate for the other party. Now, take, for instance, the creation of states. If you read the Constitution, you know that no state can be created in this country. The provisions are abominable. You say you want a state, you hold a referendum among yourselves, you come to National Assembly, they send you back, you do another referendum, and come back, and then it will be sent to the 36 states of the Federation, and 21 must endorse your desire. You know it will not happen. 21 states will approve for another state to be created from a zone. No, because that's another plate to collect food from the sharing table. They won't allow that. But you now look at it and say, listen, all the zones have so and so number of states. The Southeast has the least number of states, also the least number of local governments. In fact, the number of local governments in Sokoto State alone is nearly the same number you have in the Southeast. Look, these guys have suffered enough. Let's give them an extra state. So you call up your boys, tell them it will come to the National Assembly, they should endorse it. Look at the loss, it doesn't amount to anything. The new state will just give them 8 local governments. This is how Nigeria has always worked. That's the conversation I'm talking about.
Well, Dr. Ikechukwu, we need to take a short commercial break, but how do you organize that conversation? You say it has to be behind, the click lights, but how do you organize it? Who will take responsibility? Let's take that commercial break, and we'll come back to you. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the morning show here on the Arise News channel. Our guest is still Dr. Okey Ikechukwu, a leadership consultant and executive director of Development Specs Academy, Abuja, Nigeria. Dr. Ikechukwu, thank you for staying with us. You were talking about the conversation about how Nigeria can move forward. And you cited what happened in 1998. You mentioned former President Obasanjo, you mentioned Olufalaye, but you know the circumstances at that time were quite different. And that was why I asked you, yes, this conversation you are talking about, how will it be organized if government is not involved? Since you insist that government cannot move it forward because government lacks the capacity, is it the ethnic nationalities that have the capacity, the same ethnic and social cultural groups that are talking across purposes? Do you imagine Miyetti Allah or IPOB sitting together to arrive at how to move Nigeria forward?
If they sit together, the first thing they will tell you is that there is no Nigeria to move forward. So I'm not talking about them. I'm also not saying that government should not be involved. What I'm talking about is that the formal convening of a national conference is what I'm advising against. Yar'Adua became president. Jonathan became president. Eventually, Buhari is president. There were conversations that took place among certain Nigerians who consider themselves superior stakeholders to you and I and the rest of us. That's the kind of conversation I'm talking about. So, first, some individuals have acquired some reputation for credibility in this country, Abdul Salam and a few others. Now, if indeed a clear position is presented that, look, if we take this step, it will give us greater national stability. You say, what is the step? Just like in 99, okay, president will go to the southwest. This was behind the scene. But let's also note that even after Obasanjo emerged, he looked around and felt that, no. It was, I understand, through his instrumentality that the Senate presidency went to the southeast. Now, that wasn't because nationalities met. That wasn't because the Southeast was rioting. Ruben, we were still in the Guardian at the time. I remember when Ekweme lost, some people had come in the name of Igbo solidarity, that I should attack it in the media, say you've been drinking something unusual. Attack what? You want to discredit the man? He lost, and he has to build his party. So when he gave the same response to Falaye, I was happy. Now, the point I'm making is this. This conversation can take place. You approach the president, Your Excellency, look at the facts on the table. This is what we are thinking will be a solution. Southeast, look at what we are thinking. Southwest, it has to be. That's why you speak of elder statesmen. The crisis, or part of the crisis of the Nigerian state today, is that you have, as elder statesmen, people who are neither elders nor statesmen. They became prominent at a tender age. Some of them mistook their presumptions and impunity for national policy, and they've gotten accustomed to it. But I believe that you have individuals who can come together and say, look, this is what we think might work. And they know how to configure it. But if it's to pretend that President Buhari is not there, there's no government, that's insanity. And that's why I find some of the calls for restructuring for this totally unrealistic. You cannot pretend there's no existing government. You cannot begin to talk of ethnic nationalities and a sitting government will keep quiet, knowing that the basis for Nigerian state, while it recognizes ethnic nationalities, is based on other things as federating units, states and local governments and wards and councils. So, in sum, the point is this. There needs to be a conversation among the conspiratorial Nigerian political elite with their military counterparts of old. They've always been the ones doing this. The point why this has become necessary is that the roof is about to cave in on all of them. They are not young. They are living comfortably. Nobody will have believed some of the things that we witnessed in the last 10 years, 15. If you remember, the late Ado Bayero was once stoned in Kano. You see, what gave impetus to the perception of stability we had before has completely evaporated. Banditry is all over the place. It's the only thriving industry in the north, and ransom taking. So you cannot, in the midst of all of this, quote the Constitution or just say no. Convene who? Some will come there to bomb the venue. So it's not about, you can't discountenance the government, but the government correctly has a duty to say, you can't just talk about secession. I won't endorse it. That's understandable. It cannot endorse its own disappearance. Or the conversation I'm talking about, all those who are even now moving around talking about political presidential candidates, let them put some energy into national survival and sustainability. Let them discuss a template that everybody can be comfortable with or would be comfortable with, on the basis of which a new power-sharing formula will emerge, a new consensus will emerge, a clear position will be taken. How it's put out in the public domain, it always comes out like something nobody knew anything about. So it's too late in the day for us to pretend we don't know that's the kind of conversation it is. You know how difficult it was for Jonathan to become acting president and eventually to have a second term or a full 4 years. It was that kind of conversation.
Indeed,
some people were
Doctor,
talked into relaxing. Fine.
Can I come in here? All this realpolitik that you've pointed out
Please.
is completely accurate. There are all kinds of pacts and horse trading going on. But isn't that part of the problem a lot of people have? That Nigeria's destiny is not actually in the hands of Nigerians, but is in the hands of people that you have described as credible. Maybe to you. For me, somebody who has a political prisoner, the most visible, the most prominent one, die in his custody, for me is not credible at all. But we have those people, and it's always those people who decide our fates. That's not right.
I agree with you, but you see, you must also ask yourself, if there's something in the pot and you can't take it out because the pot is boiling, but there's a glove, you may not like red color. It may not be one of your favorite colors, but you wear the red glove in order to pick it out. What am I leading to with this? As this country is today, you cannot have a conference of nationalities. Who are those going to represent them? Okay, you say these people I'm calling are bad people. The people who will also come out in the name of these nationalities are the people who have been around, who have been attending all the conferences that have not yielded anything. Okay. Now, what I was building up to, or the point I'm making is that it still has to be that. Look at it this way. Jonathan wouldn't have gotten a second term except for some discussions that took place between the party himself and some sections of the polity. He lost partly also because they felt some part of their expectations were not met. Now, the point I'm making is, in any nation, even those we call the most advanced, it is always conversations like these that deal with the core critical issues. But you see, these other nations have matured to the point that the demands and expectations of the citizens come very close to the right principles of sustainable leadership.
Okay.
What are the demands of our people? Money.
Okay.
It's become so pervasive that even if you get into public office and you're determined to do well, nobody's going to allow you to do that. Look at, it came to our turn and he started talking about his now being of good behavior. He should have gone to be a priest. Now, those are the issues. So it is different from saying, let the old boys continue. No, but every environment has its value.
Okay,
there are power centers.
Dr. Okey
If as it is today, it is the power centers and the real politic of Nigeria that can give us a solution, we take that solution, knowing that we are making instrumental gains.
Dr. Okey Ikechukwu.
In the last 20 years, going 21 of democracy, we've made gains we are not admitting to ourselves.
Okay, Dr. Okey Ikechukwu, real quickly, we just have a minute to wrap up. You've stated all the parts, which is very fair.
Gains. We can't overlook them.
The truth
is an evolving nation.
Dr. Okey Ikechukwu, if you can
but
hear
if
me.
we're expecting that,
can you hear me?
Okay, things are so...
Dr. Okey Ikechukwu, if you can hear me, we've stated all the parts, which is always very fair. But the cardinal point is, the reason why agitations continue in the country is that in this game of political casino royale we've been playing since the 1960s, the people have never been winners. Wow. Okay, we'll just have to wrap things up now at this point in time. But thank you so much, and thanks for watching, and we'll still have time to engage even more on the show.
Thank you very much, Dr. Okey Ikechukwu. If you can hear me, there was a phrase you used. You talk about superior Nigerians. Who are those superior Nigerians? I mean, can anybody claim in a democratic setup to be superior to other human beings?